Slander named Malimo the literacy of the two words, ARYA, and TANTRA, recorded as one word which is now called the Aliantan area in Indonesian Sumatra. Contemplation, Samadhi, Yoga, Tapabroto, Upasana, Kamala, Tafakkur, abide in the Takanut's cave, to study and deepen the science of Tantra, visualized in the magnificent building, Vwana Kaka Phala, now named Borobudur. Understand the teachings of this ancestral nation of the archipelago are not the teachings of Buddha or Hinduism, which were born in India, but the two Indian teachings are added with Jaina, based in the teachings that come from here, Dharma, which was brought by the Saka, Brahmanism, out of the archipelago and conquered King Salivahana in AD 78, before Veda was written down. Srivijaya before 78 AD from the center of the puja in the holy city, Montakui, is now published as the Muaratakas site. If currently driving 77 kilometers or 1.53 hours through the Kwak area located in the direction of Aliantan towards Sulagi Hill, there are still Goa Garuda and Goa Hanuman, where the Aryans contemplate the original teachings of the archipelago. It is here in the Aliantan area of the Aryans with the tantric learning method that the human becomes more capable than ordinary people. The secret science called Tantra was later brought by the Atisha student to Tibet to become the Tantrayana Vajrayana school of Mahayana Buddhism. The Kadachuan region, which is the holy city, ruled by the name Kandra Naga, is called Naghori, with the language Nagori or Nagari, the mother of the international language at that time, Sanskrit. Its center of poetry is Montakui, and its center of government is on the hill, Katanka, in its territory at a radius of 75 kilometers, which is now called Kodo, which uses numbers, namely 13 Kodo, Kampar, 5 Kodo Tapung, 6 Kodo Subayong, 12 Kodo Chok, 9 Base, 6 Kodo Galugu, 6 Kodo Rokan, 4 Kodo Rajo, 5 Silo Andiko. 44. In Aliantan there is a Raja Vatsal, Vanua named Dachuik Suri Maharajadaraja Indo. Local people Aliantan call briefly, Daduk Majindo. Aliantan is the main gateway to the northern part of the holy city, starting from Siak Hulu, mirroring Pantai Sermon approximately 100 kilometers to enter the city center of Kadachuan. You have to pass the road which is now called Timban Tulong. This name was spread because in the past on either side there is a pile of human bones. The commander-in-chief of the road and gate was named Shanghyang Dachuik Penglimo Buyong Amban, who was known to be ferocious and confiscated his belongings against immigrants with bad intentions who were about to enter the holy city, and had to pass through the road which is now called Pile of Bones. The commander-in-chief of Aliantan in the kingdom of Suri Maharajadaraja Indo has two figures. 1. Shanghyang Dachuik Panglimo Kampua, or called the commander of Kampo. 2. Shanghyang Dachuik Panglimo Sikuban, from his father's breed, who was in the center of the Kadri named Shanghyang Dachuik Maharajadaraja Sikuban, and the names of his sons were called Tantra. The literacy of the text Tantra comes from the word Tan, which means to describe the supernatural powers of God, or it can be interpreted as the essence, or origin of the teachings, this teaching which later developed in India. When there was a war between the people Khan Arya against the Dravidas of the indigenous people of India, Sadashiva was born, meaning he who was always absorbed in consciousness, later known as Shiva. The greatest contribution of the Aryans to civilization was the introduction of the concept of Dharma. This is the concept of the ancestral teachings of the archipelago and a collection of question and answer books about secret science, known as Tantra Shastra. The principles of Tantra are found in Nigama, while their practices are in the book Religion. There are 64 books containing Tantrayana, including Maha Nirvana Tantra, Kularnawa Tantra, Bidana Tantra, Yoganardaya Tantra. These ancient books are lost and some are incomprehensible because they are written in secret writings to maintain the confidentiality of Tantra to those who are laymen. Panka Ma 5M are intermediate, Mamsa, Matsya, Mudra, and Mathana. The teaching is more directed towards the concept of Karma Marga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Marga, the practice of Tantrayana, namely Maka, Kama, and Pansaka, or known as Pankama, or Malama, are often misinterpreted as Malimo, the bad one. 1. Madha, Madhya, middle, which means more to the middle way, not too much or less, not too hard or weak, which is then misinterpreted to be drunk or unconscious too. Mamsa, mam equals me, sa equals Pertiwi, land, which means more to extinguish lust and desire, turning off all senses, which is then misinterpreted to kill animals, eat meat and drink blood. 3. Matsya, comfortable, flexible, flowing means more flexibility in movement, feeling empathy and sympathy, not stiff, in samadhi, yoga, called pranayama, which aims to calm the mind and easily meditate, which is then misinterpreted as eating fish. Bloating is poisonous. 4. Mudra, Bayu, determination, soul is a deep soul, full of determination, implementation of action and proof, which is then mistakenly interpreted as doing hand movements and dancing until tired. 5. Maithana, unity, destroying, which is uniting the mind to the cosmic, destroying the mind, sinking into nothingness, achieving freedom of mind, which is then misinterpreted as mass copulation. This is slander. Furthermore, Tantrayana influenced the teachings of Buddhism, the Mahayana school, which focuses on helping each other among its followers in achieving spiritual liberation, namely, nirvana, in Dharmic original, is called Svarga. The literary text of the word Svarga in Borobudur is not written as nirvana. This is proof that Borobudur was not based in the teachings of Buddhism, who was born in India with the figure Siddhartha Gautama. But the teachings recorded and illustrated in Borobudur were the basis for the birth of Buddhist, Hindu and Jaina teachings in India. The melted Tantrayana in Mahayana is called Vajrayana Tantra, or Mahayana Tantra, meaning that tantric teachings originated in the previous Indonesian archipelago, not from India or Tibet. The secret science, known as Tantrayana, is what Adityawarman learned to fight against the attackers who had since the 9th century AD wanted to seize the holy city, with its center of worship, Mangtakui, in the era after Srivijaya could only be controlled by King Chola Mandala, at the same time as the return of the student from Tibet, Atisha Dipamkara Surjanana, to his country brought Tantra to become Tantrayana, Vajrayana school of Mahayana Buddhism. Atisa Dipamkara Shranyana is the original name. Another name for Otish was Dipankorsrigan, a figure of the spread of Mahayana and the second wave of Vajrayana to 11th century Tibet, born from Prabhavati Devi and Srikalyan in 980 AD. In 1013 AD, Atisha traveled with 125 people sailing across the ocean and storms to an area called Boga, a country which at a certain time, if the sun is directly overhead, produces the effect, without shadow, is an equinox at the site of the Takas estuary, not Palembang. Sri Lanka. Of the 21 youths who were sent, almost all of them died on the way, and only 2 young men, Rinchen Zongpo and Legshe, already mastered Sanskrit. On their return, the 2 young men told the king that it was Atisha who taught in Tibet. Atisa Dipamkara Shranyana lived for 12 years in the archipelago Svarnadvipa, studied with a professor named Sirlingpa Dharmakirti, or Svarnadvipa Dharmakirti, returned to his country teaching in Tibet for 3 years and died in 1054 in Naitang, Tibet. So, secret science, known as Tantrayana, is part of the concept of Dharma, namely, Dharmic original, the concept of the ancestral teachings of the Indonesian archipelago, which later served as the basis for the birth and development of Hindu, Buddhist and Jaina teachings in India, which until now are perfectly preserved in Bali and depicted in Borobudur, in the past originated in Svarnadvipa. Wana Kaka Fala, Borobudur. This building is based on the original teachings of the archipelago, Dharma, or Dharmic original, which is now perfectly recorded in Bali. This is not from India the form of visualization of people sitting cross-legged. It is not a statue of Siddhartha Gautama. Also, the reliefs depicted are not his biography, but he followed it and developed it in India. ARYA are the Kaka people of the archipelago, written on the bas-reliefs of Wana Kaka Fala, Borobudur, with the literary text of the word Mahachakya, nation Kakya, Sakya, Saka, Aryan the Great, called Shaitya by European historians. The Kaka already existed long ago, from AD 78, from the time of the conquest of King Salivahana, India. This 78 AD figure is misinterpreted to calculate the beginning of the Saka year on the inscription, so that the historical records of the ancestors of the previous Indonesian people before 78 AD are lost or removed. This is a conspiracy, don't turn it over. It is our ancestors who colored 3/4 of the earth among the lands of India. This is an academic fact that history has never lied. It is the interests of writing that make historical records a lie. by Santosaba.
Indonesia, tanah airku, tanah tumpah darahku. Di sanalah aku berdiri, jadi pandu